Hello, this is Mark from I Am Organic Gardening, and today I'd like to share with you a 1-week update. It's just only been a week since we planted up these dry beans, so let's take a closer look. We're looking down row number 3 here, and everything has germinated very nicely. I was very fortunate the day that I planted the beans, it rained later on in the day, and we got about a 1/4 inch of rain. We haven't had rain since, and the average temperature has been in the 90-degree Fahrenheit range. So here we have our dry bean plant here. This is buckwheat, here, here, and here. And then this is the winter rye that's growing. Now we're covering all the ground as much as possible because you never want bare soil. Just last week we had all bare soil. So I'm trying to grow a cover as quickly as possible to cover or make a canopy over that soil. Plus, not just a canopy from the beans, that would be okay, but we also want all these other roots in the ground, because every time you see a plant in the ground, it's actually an opening in the ground so we can collect rainwater and have it filtered down below. If I did not plant all this cover crop in here with the beans, the water would not filter through as quickly as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm harvesting all that rainwater by planting more materials. And also too is that a lot of people think, well, since you have all this other materials growing there, all their seeds, you're going to also wick away all that moisture. No, because what it is anytime you add something to the soil, like another root or a plant or anything else either, it opens the soil up. It will actually make more air pockets in the soil so you will not lose that water. But the main reason why we want to cover that soil as quick as possible, and I want to show you with this thermometer here. This has been in the ground for only about, say, 10 minutes. Now, it's about 100 degrees out and it's cloudy right now. Now, you can see the soil temperature is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 89, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that is not good. That is too hot for the soil to be for plants. Now, these are surviving very nicely so far, but if I continue to leave that soil uncovered and not growing this, let's say, green manure or cover crop or canopy on top, whatever terminology you want to use to hide that soil underneath, that temperature will keep rising all the time and these plants will suffer. The soil food web, which is the most important thing in the ground, does the best job around, say, 75 degrees, anywhere between 70 and 80 degrees, but its optimal purpose in the ground and to actually restore nutrients and recycle nutrients is about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So here we are at the edge of the field on the left-hand side. Now we have this canopy growing here. This is annual ryegrass mixed in with a lot of weeds because the annual ryegrass is going dormant because it is getting hot and it's going to seed. But I want to show you, I'm going to place the thermometer in the ground here with this canopy up on top that we can look down below here inside this grass and weeds how it's shading the soil and what's the temperature in the soil here. Now I push some of the grass down aside. Now you can see here, I just placed the thermometer in, it has to reset. But currently we're at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So right there's a 10-degree difference between the soil that was exposed to the sun during the day and also compared to this that we see now that's in this tall grass that we push down aside. Even if you had mulch sitting on top of the ground an inch thick, you're going to get a better reading. So we're back down to that 75-degree temperature, so that soil food web is working very nicely in the ground there. So that's the same what we want in our bean field, and that's why we're growing that canopy of winter rye and also buckwheat in there that we can maintain. I had to stop filming for a little bit. We just got an inch of rain, so I'm back out here again. I put the signs in the ground so you can see the 5 rows of dry beans that we planted. So the number one rule to gardening or organic gardening, whatever type of gardening you do, it probably doesn't apply to container gardening because you don't have the soil food web in there. But the number one rule that I can highly stress that you should do for your garden is keep the ground covered at all times. If you can have the wood chips or the leaves or the hay or the straw covering that soil to keep that temperature low, it's going to do a lot better for you and your plants. So here we have the soil food web. All this area from here over is aquatic. It needs water to survive and maintain those healthy plants for you. So water is so important, so that covering the soil is even extremely more important. So even in the short amount of time that we had the rain, which is about, let's say, half hour to an hour, the temperature of the soil has cooled down considerably. It has gotten down to about 73, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So even the water does a nice cooling job on it. But again, you have to have that cover. The cover is also bringing carbon from the atmosphere and feeding all that soil food web also too. And this is what nature does all the time on this planet. It always leaves a living cover on the soil. Now, we give weeds a bad name to do this because weeds are just a band-aid. They first start to cover the soil so it can improve in the long run. But over time, even those weeds will open up that soil and let the soil food web work naturally like it should and retain moisture in there. And also the weeds will provide a cover for itself to maintain that low soil temperature. I want to thank you very much for watching today's video. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'll get right back to you. Hopefully that you found this interesting and helpful to you. Again, if you haven't done so, please subscribe and I'll see you again shortly.